Welcome to another episode of the SCHA-MI podcast. My name is Alex Frankfort, Communications Manager at SCHA-MI, and today we're pleased to have with us Michigan State Senator Wayne Schmidt. Senator Schmidt serves as the chairman of the K-12 and MDE Appropriations Subcommittee in the Senate and is largely to thank for maintaining and helping to expand the amount of state funding the Health Center Network receives each year. He's a wonderful advocate for the cause, and we're pleased to get a chance to chat with him today. Welcome, Senator.
Great to be on, Alex. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely. So to start off, again, you've been a long-time kind of supporter and friend of the network. So tell us about, some of your most memorable or favorite experience partnering with the network. I know you've done some tours in the past as centers. What stood out for you? What really, drew you to the cause?
Well, it's such a great mission. I mean, student-based health clinics are such an important piece of K-12 education here now in Michigan, that the services they offer are great. But one of the things I remember, we were touring a school, we were touring up in Sheboygan, their health clinic. And I know that they do this in many of the clinics, is that student advisory committee. And it was really exciting to see how the students got involved and how they were going to kind of put their, I don't want to say spin on it, but how they felt best that the clinic could help their fellow students, the ways that it would make it more inviting, that there'd be, I know one of the key things is less stigma, making sure that students felt comfortable there, and the way that those students interacted with one another and the healthcare professionals that were in the clinic and the student body as a whole was tremendous. I was really excited to see that, and that was one of the neatest things. Of course, I mean, the mission obviously of student-based health clinics is key, mental health, physical health, but to have that student involvement, that direct student involvement, was really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we always find that when the centers have those student involvements or those student admin teams, like they always flourish and do such a great job, because it really is, it's overcoming that stigma of, not wanting to talk to somebody or things like that. And speaking of, getting kind of behavioral health advice, as we've been during the pandemic, we've seen a growing amount of kind of mental health issues arising that we're getting reporting from the centers and from other healthcare networks around the state. How do you and your colleagues in the Senate and in the legislature, how are you guys looking at that? Is it something that's on your radar? Are you trying to address it, and how so?
Well, I think being a student today is much more challenging, especially when I was growing up. I'll be 55 this year. I think technology, social media, the way the world works, it's much faster paced. I think the pressures on students today in terms of academics, sports, just the community as a whole is much greater. So that was already becoming much more intense. But then you put a pandemic on top of it. I mean, it's a wonder that we're still all here. I say that jokingly, but it's just, I don't know how kids are dealing with these days. I have a sophomore and a senior in high school. I've seen the challenges that they have faced. I'm very fortunate that they've been pretty strong through this, but I know some of their classmates haven't. And so I've been very thankful that there has been a student-based health clinic locally and in many of the communities throughout Michigan, to have that option there for students to go seek help. But I think we were already dealing with the mental health and the physical health of students prior to the pandemic. I think it's become much more critical now, and that's why we're increasing funding in the budget this year for it. I have to say, Renee has done a great job of advocacy. I talk to her all the time about what's going on. As the pandemic starts to wind down, I'll look forward to getting out and seeing the clinics again and hearing how they met the challenges and what they're thinking about going forward. But we're increasing money for mental health in the schools through the student-based health, the school-based health clinics, through a variety of other fronts, whether we're getting more counselors into schools too. I think we have to fight this on all the fronts. And so, school-based health clinics are one of the key fights.
Absolutely. And so in your role as the chairman of that appropriations subcommittee, the K-12 and MDE, you're working with a large budget. You're trying to figure out, there's needs everywhere, but where do we need to put funding to get the most, value for those tax dollars? Obviously, students and the people who work at the health centers and the parents of the students all see the value in these health centers. Where do you see the value for, the rest of their community members or just other taxpayers around the state that you say, yes, this is worth funding, this is worth their dollars too?
That's an easy one. You hit it right on the head. The students see value in it, the parents see value in it, the teachers, the educators, the administration see value in it. Right there, getting students at where they spend a vast majority of their time during the week, right there at the school. When I talk to constituents and they're asking, how are the students doing? What's up with K-12 education? How are we equipping our students to handle the challenges of just not just everyday life, but through this pandemic? And one of the key things I can point to are the student-based health clinics, or school-based. I keep saying student-based, but I go back to the fact, like I said, that advisory committee, that they are so active in it, it speaks for itself. And the fact that we've seen such success in making sure students have access to health care, both mental and physical, got to get those words out. Like I said, it speaks for itself. So I have had no one question the state's commitment to funding student-based or school-based health clinics. So it's an easy one. Like I said, I keep saying student a lot, but that's what it is. It's getting those services, getting those healthcare professionals right where they're at. And I can't think of a better mission.
Absolutely. That being said, how can the network help support, your legislative priorities, and this funding? How can they help, assist you? Is it with, extra communications? Is it with sharing testimonials? The ways that certain students have benefited? How can they assist?
Well, success stories are always a great thing to hear about. I think the best thing has been getting legislators out to their local school-based health clinic in the district nearest them. And if they don't have one that's close by, they need to come to talk to me, talk to Renee, to the organizations, and say, hey, this is something I've seen in other districts. How come we don't have one? I'm speaking as a legislator. And that just helps me say, you need one of those? Of course. Let's put more money into it. So I think that really makes a big difference. So getting legislators out and touring. There's one right there in Lansing. I know I've toured that one. It's an easy one for those legislators that might not have one in the district, or it can take part of an hour in their morning before committee or session starts. That's, seeing it in person, talking to the healthcare professionals, talking to the educators and the administrators, but most importantly, hearing from the students. It sells itself.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was going to say, we spoke with Representative Hamoud a couple of weeks back, and he called it a winning issue. And we appreciate that, but, we always love to know how we can learn, do more, to shout from the mountaintops of, what this cause is and how we.
Well, I think you've had success, because every year that I've been K-12 approach chairman, you've seen more money. So I'm going to say the students are doing a great job. The healthcare professionals are doing a great job. The educators, administrators, and of course your team, led by Renee on that front. So I certainly got to give her a little bit of praise. She is number one cheerleader there.
Absolutely. Thank you. I know she'll appreciate it. She thinks very highly of you. So Senator, thank you again for joining us. That was really all the questions I had for you today. Is there any last kind of message you'd like to impart to the network and to the students?
I think that if they have a great story to tell, jot a note, send an email, let me know about it. Always willing to do a quick tour and stop by and say hi. I live, of course, in northern Michigan in Traverse City, but have gotten to the clinics here in northern Michigan, upper and in the Upper Peninsula. But I visit the ones downstate, or call their local legislator, their local representative or senator, and have them stop by. Like I said, invite them over for a cup of coffee, have them do a quick tour just to meet. That half hour to an hour makes all the difference in the world, and really brings home the fact that these school-based health clinics are really the way to deliver health care, both terms of physical and mental health, and just, what a success they are.
Thank you. We appreciate it so much, and all the work that you've done in the Senate and in your chairmanship. We can't tell you how much it means to the network, our organization, and the students, of course. So thank you.
Certainly my pleasure. Thank you.